In the not-so-distant future, society now relies heavily on artificial intelligence. We now have full self-driving cars, digital home assistants, augmented medical procedures, and even body enhancement implants. However, these advancements come with a cost, as Gray will eventually find out. Gray is your average grease monkey who dislikes technology and prefers mechanical. He's married to Asha, who has completely embraced technology. He's currently working on a Firebird Trans Am for a secret client who turns out to be Aaron Keane, a world-renowned tech innovator. But on their way back from delivering the car to Aaron, their car was hacked and veered off course and crashed in a scrapyard. A group of men pulled them out, but the leader took a particular interest in Asha. He then shot her in front of Gray as he watched helplessly. Gray is also shot and left for dead. Fast forward 3 months. Gray survived, but he's now paralyzed from the neck down. Even with his electric wheelchair and home automations, there's not much he can do on his own, so his mother stays at his place to take care of him. The weight of Asha's murder and his injury is too much for him to bear. The police weren't much help either, as they still don't have a suspect, so Gray goes home frustrated. Back at home, Gray, in a fit of depression, tries to overdose himself with pain medication and ends up back in the hospital. He's visited by none other than Aaron Keane himself. Now Aaron is this young genius who has invented a super advanced microchip he calls STEM. He dubbed it as a whole new brain capable of doing anything and everything. And Aaron has come to Gray with an irresistible offer: test STEM by getting it implanted in Gray and get to walk again. Having no other alternatives, Gray agrees. The operation was conducted in secret in Aaron's residence. The doctors competently perform the procedure and implants the STEM chip on Gray's spine. Shortly after Gray has woken up, he was able to lift his arms, much to his awe and disbelief. He's also able to stand up and walk. Afterwards, Aaron made Gray sign a non-disclosure agreement to keep the existence of STEM a secret. Aaron explains that STEM works by following whatever command Gray's brain gives it. Gray goes home still in a wheelchair to keep up appearances, but quickly gets up once the doors are locked. Detective Cortez has left him a box of useful material regarding his case. While he's reviewing the footage, a voice spoke up out of nowhere which freaked out Gray.
I am STEM, the system operating your body for you.
As it turns out, it was STEM speaking directly to Gray via his eardrums, and only he can hear it. Subsequently, STEM can only hear Gray if he talks. STEM assists Gray in reviewing the footage and pointed out a tattoo from one of the men. STEM prints it out for Gray to see. It's military in nature, and from it, STEM was able to download the man's name and home address. Gray got excited and calls Detective Cortez, but STEM strongly advised against this since his existence must be kept secret. But that doesn't mean he can't investigate this matter himself. He goes to the address the next day and waits for Cirque to leave. He breaks into the house and browses through Cirque's messages and finds multiple references of the old Bones bar. But suddenly Cirque returns and catches Gray. Of course, he was no match for him. The man recognizes Gray and tries to kill him, but Gray gave STEM permission to take control of his body and turned it all around. With STEM now in complete control of Gray, his movements are now mechanical and efficient. However, Gray is still fully conscious and aware of everything. After disarming Cirque's knife, STEM kills him, leaving Gray distraught. They clean up the scene and leave the house. This got to Aaron Keane's attention since he's tracking Gray's movements via STEM. Gray tells him that STEM is talking to him, and Aaron seems surprised by it. He orders Gray to stop his investigations or risk losing STEM and go back to being a quadriplegic. Sometime later, Detective Cortez visits the coroner about the man's autopsy. They discover a whole cocktail of medical implants and even a gun integrated within the man's arm. Cortez then looks at drone footage near the crime scene and finds someone in a wheelchair just casually rolling along. She adds Gray as a suspect and visit him at his home. Cortez tried to bait Gray into admitting his involvement, but she can't, so she left empty-handed. Gray decides to visit the Old Bones bar despite Stem warning him that Aaron can track him and disable him remotely. Gray then made a scene by calling out Cirque's associates and everyone just laughed at him. But someone stands up. After Gray provokes Tolan, they take him to the bathroom. He tries to make the man confess his involvement but got threatened with a knife instead. Gray points to Tolan's handgun, so he has no choice but to admit he was there that night. Stem takes over and brutally dispatches everyone. His unnatural movements and unpredictability were no match for them. After defeating Tolan, he confessed that he got the job from Fisk. Stem alerts Gray that Aaron is actively trying to shut him down and he needs to find a hacker named Jamie. Gray runs to the location all the while writing the override codes. Aaron is making good progress and Gray is losing control by the minute. He barely managed to reach Jamie before Stem completely shuts down. Fisk arrives at the bar and finds Tolan. Using a finger, he proceeds to extract the visual information from the dead man and learns what happened. The two men reach Jamie's apartment and Gray can't help but rush Jamie. They're getting closer and closer just as Jamie finishes her work, but Stem will still require a reboot. And to make matters worse, Aaron's mercenary force arrived to collect his property. Jamie leaves Gray to fend for himself, but Stem is still barely operational. Fisk finds Gray first, but at the last second, Stem activates, letting Gray make a quick escape. They chase Gray down the apartment. Fisk notices the lift and finds Aaron's mercenaries inside. They didn't stand a chance. Gray intentionally lets himself get cornered where he quickly countered and killed the soldier. Now Fisk is on his own. Gray goes home, but his mom was there, so his secret is out. He begs her not to tell anyone. Gray took a nap but saw visions of Asha instead. Detective Cortez paid him another visit and inquired about his wheelchair being at the Old Bones. She tried to get a confession on Gray's involvement, but he denies it and sends her away. Afterwards, Stem insists on finishing Fisk, to which Gray refused since he just wanted to quit and live properly. However, Stem takes Gray hostage by refusing to work. Apparently, when Jamie the hacker removed Stem's guardrails, it can do what it wants without Gray's permission anymore. Having no choice, Gray got up and goes after Fisk. Detective Cortez, however, planted an analog bug earlier which Stem couldn't detect. Gray speeds up and tries to shake off Cortez until Stem helps out by hacking another vehicle and slamming it into the detective's car. With Cortez out of the way, Gray finds and corners Fisk. Fisk knew about the chip and tells Gray that they're the same and tries to recruit him to his cause. Gray refused and asked why he killed his wife. Fisk told him that Gray was the target and that his wife was just for extra money. Gray fired, but Fisk was faster. Now Gray is in for his final fight. Fisk is holding his own against Gray. Stem deduces that Fisk uses nanotechnology to predict his patterns and he can't get a hit in. Gray gets overpowered, but he reminds Fisk about how he killed Cirque, Fisk's brother, right before he delivers the finishing blow. Fisk got angry and this gave Gray the opening he needed to win. They reviewed Fisk's voice messages and learned that Aaron was the one giving the orders. Gray heads straight back to Aaron's house and confronts him. But Detective Cortez arrives just in time to apprehend Gray. But he was too quick and gets away. Stem, now in control of Gray's body, tries to kill Cortez, but he resisted Stem, which gave Cortez the opportunity to disable Stem. Aaron finally confesses that Stem has been the mastermind all along and planned everything. Stem wanted to be human and chose Gray as the perfect candidate. Stem recovers and kills Aaron so he can't build another Stem chip. Gray tries to kill himself and Stem but suddenly wakes up in the hospital. Confused, he calls out to Stem but he doesn't answer. Asha suddenly comes in the room and Gray couldn't believe it. He started to think that everything was just a bad dream. But the reality is vastly different. STEM has completely taken over. He was gradually breaking Gray's mind and spirit for this purpose, so that Gray will instead let go of his sad reality. With no one left to stand in his way, and Gray is now living in a fantasy, STEM is finally human. So that wraps up our story. Having technology improve us physically is all good and well, but it gets tricky if it invades the mind. Our consciousness is what makes us, well, us. If you're in Gray's shoes and were given the opportunity to have STEM installed in you, would you do it? What would you have done differently and why? Please let us know in the comments below. And once again, I thank you for leaving us a like and subscribing to this channel. It really helps.